Now, Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon.
Welcome to this episode of Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon. Joining me, as always, is co-host Alan Niven. Bonjour, Monsieur Alain. How are you?
Good morning.
Yes.
Upright and breathing.
Yes. See, I'm in Montreal. You guys are in Arizona and California, so it's a little bit earlier for you. And of course, we've also got Toto guitarist Steve Lukather joining us. And Steve, just always a pleasure to chat with you. And you know, it's good that we have Alan, who used to be in management, and we have you that's in a band. Let me just quickly start with that. How nervous are we in terms of the industry and the business moving forward? Because right now it's
We're
you
in
can't
limbo,
tour.
man. We have to wait and see. Ask me at the end of the week. I really, honest to God, I don't know. You know, a lot has to do politically, and a lot has to do with the virus. You know, I mean, if we can't leave or we're not welcome in another country because of it, then that's going to cripple the music business and probably end it in the ways that we ever knew it. I don't know how we'll carry on this way. And, you know, I'm lucky to have had the best years when it was still really happening. And I had a year off with my family, and I want to go back to work again. And play music. Like the way I still play music for the same reason I did when I was 8 years old. You know what I mean? Because it makes me happy. Now, if I had to, forced retirement, well, okay. But I feel like there's a whole lot more I want to do. I put together a new band and got solo records coming out that we're touring together along with the Toto stuff. And we went through a serious litigation, lost a shitload of money, had to buy back our own name. I want to make my money back, you know? And the guys that want to play can play. It's me, Paige, and Joe. Paige and I were like the original guys. Everybody else is retired or dead, and yet I got a remarried billionaire widow who's crawled up my piss hole so many times you could drive a fucking truck in it. I'm sick of it, man. I don't want to deal with this shit. I want to make my money back.
Well, yeah. So let's unbundle.
Go ahead. Hang on 1 second. Hold on. Let me slow down. First of all, Steve, it is always such a gas to get on a phone with you because you're no fucking slouch with a guitar. I mean, however, what most people don't know is that you are one of the best raconteurs, the best storytellers in rock and roll. It's just
you think so? Well, I wrote a book and it did.
Listen, I don't think things. I slowly learn and know things. I'm not bright enough to think. I just slowly, by osmosis, discover things. So I have slowly discovered that you are just a great storyteller. And one of the things that crossed my mind yesterday when I was thinking about this call was, you know what? With all the circumstances that we're dealing with right now, whether we had those circumstances or not, if I had any influence or any contribution to Steve's life, I would suggest an evening with. Just take a guitar out there, play like a motherfucker like you do, and tell stories and put together an entertaining.
Do that, but that's again, we're at the point where what venues could I do to do that to make it worthwhile for me to do it? You know what I mean? And that's how I wrote my book, because I did a talk at the Grammy Museum, and my agents at the time were like, "Dude, you got to write a book." I wrote a book. So it was a pain in the ass, but it was #1 on Amazon, 5-star reviews. So I did that. I like to do different things. I've been hit on to do some TV shit, but I don't want to be on one of those cheeseball shows that, singer shows, unless I can wear a clown suit or something like that to make the dough and make fun of it, and they wouldn't want that. So I don't know, man. Like my whole version of my life is I don't know. I fell in love with a wonderful chick. My kids are great. I save money, but so it's not really my motivation. But hey, it would be nice to get paid again after being off for a year.
So
I think we all feel that way,
We do. So let me get into
in a COVID situation. Not that I'm pressing you to do this, but obviously in a COVID situation, it would be far easier for you to get into a room of any size if it was just you telling stories and playing.
Well,
and,
I mean, that's
no
an
bus,
alternative.
no crew, no nothing.
No, I know. I understand what you're saying, and you're not the first person to say that to me. Actually, they wanted to do a little book tour / storytelling thing, but at the same time, I ain't James Taylor that's going to sit around and play you my folk songs and one-man band it. Most of the shit I do is fairly produced and loud and obnoxious, except for the few ballads that were hits that I wrote.
James Taylor can't tell a story like you.
Well, the thing is, I also don't have a filter, and I offend people with my voice.
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. That's why we wonderful.
I got 45 years of experience in this business, bro. I used to be the #1 session player, and I had a hit band, and I've sustained that for almost 45 years. I don't think there's a lot of people that have done that, but it doesn't get any press.
Or hung out with Harrison, had dinner with Dylan.
What? I did have.
Or hung out with Harrison, or had dinner with Dylan. I mean, your stories are wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
And the fact that you're so straightforward.
Do them, so thank you. I just want to keep moving forward, man. I don't do well sitting around. I mean, I'm good for a month or two. That was for the first couple of months of the lockdown. We're like, Jesus, it's so great to be home, sleep in my own bed, see my kids every day, my little kids, see my older kids more. And, my son just got engaged. That was pretty cool.
But
the irony is he got engaged to Jonathan Cain's daughter, which I'm waiting for the memes now to start any second. She's a lovely girl. She's Liz's daughter, not the other one.
We're going to need a Toto journey tour at some point. But let's quickly talk about
Wait a second. Those guys have been friends of mine for forever. I mean, I played on Jonathan's first solo album when I was like 18 years old or something like that, and it never came out. But then he joined the Babies and then Journey, and the rest is history. But all these years later, he remembers stories of me when I was a kid. I took him to see like the Pink Flamingos and Eraserhead and all this crazy shit. Fucked his mind up a little bit. But we've always been pals. I toured with Bad English and Jeff Beck in Japan in 1988. So, the irony that our kids are together, whatever. I mean, Neil Sean is one of my favorite guitar players and a dear friend. Yep. And, so, I mean, I'm also, I'm still getting over losing Eddie, man. That one really hurt, man, because he was a real dear friend of mine for 40 plus years, man. Him and Al, and that was a tragic loss. That was a real, like a horse kicking me in the heart, kind of fucked me up.
Well, let me ask you then about this.
Bothers me, I'm not trying to segue into doing a big deal on this because I'm not the sort of guy that wants to milk press on my losing a friend like that.
No.
But we weren't just guitar buddies. We were really friends,
But you played on Thriller, right? You played on Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah, I did a bunch of shit on Thriller, yeah.
And he came in and did the solo on Beat It.
I did everything else on that song. Me and Jeff Picaro. Jeff played drums. I played all the guitars and the bass. They cut it twice, and that's how it got screwed up. And I wasn't in the room with Ed as it happened. Ed had already recorded his solo, and Michael had his quintupled lead vocals pristine on the master reel, and 2 and 4 he did in 2 and 4 on a chop case, and you can hear leakage through the phones. And Jeff put together a click track for himself, went out and played it, and then I overdubbed all this stuff, and then I went over and worked with Quincy and Michael. So we did that all by ourselves over the phone.
Okay, so there was no session where you were hanging out in the studio with Eddie, with Michael.
I've done that several times. Ed's played on a few of my records, and I played with them live, and I sang background vocals on a couple of their albums and during the Sammy era. Nothing earth-shattering, but I just happened to be there. Hey, we need a third voice. Luke, come out. But it was nothing like... People run with this shit like I played guitar on the records. It was really pretty funny. Like Ed would need me. That's hilarious. But
that's right.
I miss him. The band. I mean, we came up together, really. I met him in 1978. Wow. I borrowed an amp from him in 1979 for an Elton John session. We were in the same studio, Sunset Sound, and we became close friends after that,
Wow. All right. So let me get into your new album, I Found the Sun Again, co-produced by Kenny Freeman.
Oh, did you hear it?
I did. And
it's not coming out till February, man. I did that record in 8 days. Done. Live. Right. No click tracks. No bullshit. Overdubbed the vocals the same day. Old school.
And Alan, you're going to appreciate this. He covers Low Spark of High Heel Boys by Traffic, Joe Walsh's Welcome to the Club, Robin Trower's Bridges of Sigh, And
then I wrote a bunch of stuff.
Right, and Alan, you haven't heard it, but I've had a chance to hear it, the whole thing, and it's just this phenomenal guitar. There's blues going on in it. There's rock going on in it. It almost made me feel like it was like a Michael Schenker kind of thing, like it had all.
That's flattering. In the sense of I didn't go into it. These days you make an album, it's kind of a vanity thing, You make enough to it's really just to go on the road, I did this record, but maybe my last, who knows? But I did it in 8 days to see if I could. Solos, live, everything. Didn't let anybody fix anything unless it was tragic. And there really wasn't any tragedies. And I kept it a little loose, and I wanted to breathe. I didn't nobody rehearsed. We read the chart once. I picked the tunes, worked with, wrote the stuff, and made sure with Jeff Babco, my genius collaborator on this, brilliant keyboard player, wrote a lot of stuff with me. Stan Lynch helped me with some lyrics. Joseph Williams was a huge hand in it, the singer from Toto. And we decided, since he's got his solo album and my solo album, we put it together. We paid $1 grillion to get our name back from, David Page and I spent a fortune getting our name back, the band. And David stands with me and Joe. So how do we make our money back? Go on the road, And then we play our solo stuff plus Toto stuff. Everybody wins. And no, it's not Toto from 1978. It couldn't be. 2 of the members are dead. 2 are retired. And 1 is medically impossible. He can't go, but he's still with us. That's Dave. But he was, down MDing. We got a live stream show on November 21st to show off the new band I got. And I got some of the Snarky Puppy guys that work with Prince. My old childhood friend, John Pierce on bass, a session guy, used to be with Huey. Guys that can play any kind of music and groove. And it's really strong. And we've been rehearsing, and it feels good to play with other musicians, Yeah, we got to be careful, but, everybody has to be careful, And I just got my COVID test. I get one every couple of weeks. I'm clean. I stay to myself. I got little kids. My youngest is autistic, so I really can't mess with him. And, Ringo, who I still work with and is still a very dear friend of mine. I see him, and I don't want to get him sick. So we all made pacts to be cool who we let around us. I'm sure all of you guys have to do the same thing.
Oh yeah, I do. I'm stuck in Montreal, and I never get to go anywhere. But explain to me and Alan, how does Steve and Toto lose the name to Toto, retire the band, break up the band? Like, how did you not have bitter widows?
Okay, but already remarried, really wealthy men, just to fuck with me because they don't like me.
But how can they not like
Lukather? And lies were perpetrated by certain members of that family that are not true.
Right.
And there's a lot of, I don't know, man. I got to be careful what I say. I get sued for farting these days.
But all right, so then let's forget about that. Let's move forward.
If you're going to sue me for a fart, I want to make sure that all the paint changes colors and the glass breaks, wallpaper comes off. You're going to sue me for shit like that, I better burn the fucking house down with my butthole, okay? But this is some petty-ass bullshit from people who don't even need the money. It's just a gigantic, fuck you, Lukather. And I'm sick of taking it from those people. I made a lot of money for these people. Still making money.
Yeah, and you're going to go back.
I don't make $1 grillion off Africa. A widow and David Page, who also she controls the license fees and fucks him over on those just for spite. So, there's a lot of evil behind it. Right. Under the guise of, I wasn't paid, like they went on fucking TMZ and said Dave and I were criminals. We proved our innocence. There was no retraction. Yet she writes 12-year-old Mean Girls. She's fucking married to a guy that's got like almost $1 billion. What do you think I'm going to, after losing 7 figures and a percentage I have to pay every night above the gross to people who don't need the money just as a fuck you to me? It's pretty cruel. I never did anything to this person. Her obsession with hating on me is legendary. But it turned me into an asshole. It made me crazy. I had to cut them all out of my life. We paid them off. We lost the case. Okay, if I ever use the name, this is what's going to happen. I didn't want to use the name, but the promoters goes, you're an idiot if you don't do this. You're going to make this much difference in money. And honest to God, Toto makes zero money except for past royalties if we're not working. And Steve Porcaro told me I was a liar for this. Well, I'm not a liar. How much money did you make off the band aside from royalties last year? Nothing. So, unless I use the fucking name, it's worthless. I mean, it is what it is. He didn't want to buy in. He thought he should just put his hand out and be given to him for free, even though he's out of the band for 25 years. And he hates my guts for it. You said you were going to take care of me. Well, man, Steve, you said a lot of things to me, too, and you didn't come through. Not even emotionally, as a friend. And all the people that sued me and fucked me had his last name. And it was David Page, too, who started the fucking band. You know?
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm a little bitter about that because I have to keep paying it off. That's another reason to get back together. I still got fucking legal fees and payoffs to these fucking people that I got to pay back. I do well, but I don't wipe my ass with fucking $1,000 bills and follow a man who shits in a golden toilet seat like that woman does. So, I mean, I really don't, I have nothing in common with these people. So from this point out, I wish them all well. God bless you. I'll pay you when I use it. Shut up and leave me alone.
Well, listen, I was going to say, tell us how you really feel about these people. No, but...
No, they've been spending fucking 30 years fucking with me.
But
I'm tired of it, man. Fuck them. I don't care about them. I really don't. There's some people that are good people that get older and don't want to tour, and maybe they felt life passed them by or whatever. And there are some people that could have feasibly been, when the last time the devil took a shit, they flew out of it,
You see, and this is how we get to the solo album, because through all of this, you finally found the sun again. I found the sun again.
I found the sun again because I fell in love with a beautiful girl named Amber who changed my life. She changed my whole outlook in life. She changed the way I live.
Awesome.
She changed the way I think. She's given me love. She's given me security. She's given me spirituality. And she cooks like a 5-star chef. And she has been through this nonsense before because she was married to another rock and roller. And so she's played the game. But we've been together for a year. It's been the happiest year of my life. And that song was written for her.
It really was. Alan, I'm going to ask you this because, Alan, you were in that scene in the early 80s with, helping out Motley Crue and discovering Dokken and of course, working with Slash and stuff. How did you...
These guys.
Oh, I love all these guys.
Friends. I mean, I see Slash. We had dinner with Slash last week,
Oh, wow.
He's still a very dear friend of mine. I have very weird friends. I mean, Lemmy and I, God bless his soul, were friends. We didn't listen to each other's music much, but... He would run into my son Trev at the Rainbow or something because I'm way too old for that shit. And he goes, I love your dad, but I hate his band. And he used to be a drinking buddy of mine back in the day. I mean, it's been 11 years, no booze, no crazy for me, and much better for it. I mean, during the wild years, they tell me I had a great time, but maybe not so much. It was the thing to do, I was 19 years old when I started in this shit, and that was in the 70s. Do I have to say any more?
There was one night
every room I walked into as a young session player, it looked like an igloo, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I was exposed to a rough life early on, had a few laughs, fucked up a bunch, and now I really wish I hadn't done it, but... It was a life experience, I was no different than anybody else who lived in L.A. or in the music business at that time. Fucking lawyers were carrying around in their briefcase. My gardener had blow, okay? It's fucking insane. Now, you look back on it like a horrifically embarrassing moment in your youth that everybody saw. Like, say you shit your pants in class and you can never live it down. It's like all of us who did that, and believe me, I was doing fucking 25 sessions a week and in a band. I mean, how fucked up could I have been? But, one guy gets busted in the band, and all of a sudden the whole band becomes Alan, you've been through this shit before. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, the one thing I was going to say to you was I wouldn't worry about looking at the past
I'm not worried about it at all. I laugh at it.
My recollection of Blow is a room full of people who are all getting pissed off waiting for the other person to stop talking so as they could. And come the following morning, they couldn't remember a damn thing anybody said. So nobody remembered.
Well, no, it was like solve the world's problem while trying to chew your own forehead off with no recollection of what happened. Nothing was solved. No plans were fucking made. Your dick doesn't work. You're out money. You promised the dealer you pay him at 9 a.m. and you haven't even been to the bank yet. There's a room full of drunken losers that have smoked and pigged out in your house, and they still won't leave. That's what I remember. There's a funny story about
Steve.
Glenn Hughes and I. Glenn was dating my first
ex-wife. There's a couple. There's a name to put with.
Who we're dear friends with. I love him. He's one of the greatest singers of all time, and I have nothing but respect. But when he was fucked up, like in 1980 or whatever, he was at my house one night, and he wouldn't leave. And I had this acoustic guitar. It was like a classical guitar. And he wouldn't stop noodling on it. He was playing shit. He was like, dude, it's fucking 8 in the morning. Get the fuck out. I gotta go play one more thing. And I'm like, you ain't playing me nothing, man. And he wouldn't stop. I pick up the guitar to smash the guitar. I go, okay, we're done now. And I did that as a joke. He wrote it in his book, you know. Yeah, but that shit just made you do crazy shit, man. You know, that's all I can say. Every stupid thing I ever did in my life was on booze and drugs, or a combination thereof. And, you know, since that's been out of my life, I'm great. I go to bed early, I wake up early, I'm happy. I said, you know, everybody's cool, and I'm in charge of the business at this point, trying to fix everything, and it's been very, very hard because nobody wants to agree on anything. I mean, there's a piece of paperwork to pay these people, they refuse to sign it. You know what I mean? It's like, there's only so much I can do, and then I get a lawyer bill for that. And they just laugh at me going, fuck you, it costed $500, the cunt, you know. They hate me so much that, like, I don't want to say too much because they'll sue me. They'll sue me for talking about anything.
Well, they will, but also in that altered state, you did create a lot of great music. Has
well, let me preface something. When we were working, there wasn't a lot of partying going on. Afterwards, look out. But you know, you can't function like. I mean, I'm not saying anybody didn't do a hit or whatever like that, but nobody got crazy. And during work time, and that's on sessions and stuff like that. You had to read music, you had to figure out what's going on, or you weren't going to get called back again. So there's a great responsibility to being a number one studio guy, and you had to be on the case, be creative, because most of the shit I did, I had to make up my own parts on the spot. It wasn't like all the notes were written out, and I just had to be an idiot, robot, and read them. I mean, I can read music, but that's not why I got hired. You know, I got hired to fill in the blanks, so that's why I worked so much, because I had an arranger mind in my little guitar head. And I could come up with lots of different ideas and under pressure. A lot of cats couldn't do that. I saw a lot of great players fold into a house of cards. I played on records I can't tell you I played on for big bands because I had to sign non-disclosure shit because guys couldn't play eighth notes in tune in time. They could play live, and live it's forgivable, but in the studio your warts are amplified.
Alan, by the way, when you were working with at Greenwall with Motley Crue and all, did you ever have a chance to use Steve on a project, or did his name ever come up?
I never played on their records, man. Those guys can play. No. But there are other bands that I can't talk about. You know, Tommy and I, you know, we used to hang out a lot. I love Tommy, man. You know, we got in a lot of trouble together, and it was a lot of fun. It was like 30 years ago, so. But, you know, I didn't really know the other guys. I know Nikki a little bit, you know. My girlfriend knows Nikki's wife now, and they're very close. But, you know, I've always loved the band, you know, and great guys. Mick's a sweetheart, you know. I don't have nothing bad. No, it wasn't like that. There were other weirder bands. I mean, I'll give you one. I played slide on a Circle Jerks record once.
Oh wow, there's a band I haven't
heard
of
so I mean, like
long time.
all these guys that hate me because they're punk rocker guys have no fucking clue, you know.
Wow, that's funny.
There's ringers everywhere. There are guys I know that play that, you know, the bass player in my band, John Pierce, he just joined Toto. He used to play bass on all the alternative records because the bass player just couldn't either play in time or just it wasn't happening, you know. But he's the live guy, and so he did that. But John did all those sessions, but he couldn't talk about it.
Well, you know, there's Hugh McDonald with Bon Jovi. You know, he did all the Bon Jovi stuff.
I mean, I remember Jimmy Page. First time I met Jimmy Page, man, which was a trip. I was with Eddie, and we were at this Guitar Center event. And Jimmy Page was there, and he pulled me aside and said, "Hey, man, I read somewhere that you said that you'd be taken more seriously as a guitar player if you weren't a session guy." He goes, "Me and John Paul Jones were session guys." He goes, "That's way different than all these other guys that are here." And it was like every famous guitar player in L.A. who had never done that, you know, didn't know what it was like to create in the studio and with under pressure and all that other shit. And I actually hugged him. I said, "Can I tell people you said this to me?" He laughed and said, "Yeah." He was so cool to me, man. One of my all-time heroes says that to me. It really made me feel good, Changed my whole attitude about it, actually.
It did.
I'm very proud to have been a studio musician. It's not an easy gig. People have no idea. They just think that we sit and read the notes on a piece of paper. No idea.
No.
That's how untrue that is. And some of the hookiest shit in the world that I came up with on days when now you get songwriters credit. We could be talking from my space shuttle,
Now, I know your publicist has set up interviews every half hour, and we unfortunately gotta stop this one. But we need to do a part 2 because we didn't mention.
I got time.
So I will talk to Steve, the publicist.
It's scheduling, man. It's like I love you. I'll talk to you anytime. And Alan, it's been an honor to talk to you, man.
And
it's always Steve. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I'm dead fucking serious. I would pay to come and listen to you play and tell stories.
Yeah, me too.
I love the fact that you're so grounded and centered and honest. And
my honesty gets me in trouble. People don't like me to be so honest, I don't think.
Yeah, you should have seen the Twitter fight, Alan.
I like honest people.
Alan, on Twitter about 2 weeks ago, somebody called Steve to task for swearing on Twitter, and it became quite an entertaining exchange of, "Hey, go fuck yourself." It was hilarious.
Why do people pay so much attention to 4 little words, whether it be shit, fuck, cunt, whatever it is? I mean,
Steve, do you know where that all came from?
I mean, why is this a big deal considering the problems we really have?
Yeah, I know.
Steve, do you know where? Steve, let me tell you where that came from. In 1066, England was invaded by the Normans of northern France, who spoke French. And part of their suppression of the Anglo-Saxon people they'd just conquered was to deem their language inferior and vulgar. So that is basically where the idea that certain words were not to be said and not to be used began.
I know. It was that the French, they capture the best archer and they cut off the 2 fingers and like that, and that was when they came over the hill. The "fuck you" was the 2 fingers. That's why in England they used that instead of the middle finger.
Right.
It's the bowman's fingers. It's the 2 bowman's fingers for the longbow. And after Agincourt, when we whooped the froggies in Agincourt, it was 2 fingers to you, mate.
I see. Right.
We're coming with our longbows.
You're going to get into trouble for the slang here, not me.
Let me
listen, man,
let me bail on
them.
Yeah.
They're beeping through to me. I'm really sorry.
All right.
I'd love to talk to you guys for a while. So let's do this again, will you?
Absolutely. Well, I'll call Steve again. Cheers.
Yeah, we'll do it again. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it.